10 exercises. That's all you need after 50. Not 30, not 45 minutes of random machines. You've been wasting time and recovery on exercises that don't earn their place in your week. Here are the only 10 that do, starting with the one most men skip first.
Exercise 1. Deadlift. The deadlift earns first place on this list, no debate. No other movement trains grip strength, posterior chain, and ground-up force production at the same time, and that combination is the single most used physical skill you have after 50. Not flexing in a mirror, lifting a suitcase, pulling something heavy out of a trunk, picking up a bag of soil without your back locking up for 2 days. The deadlift recruits glutes, hamstrings, spinal erectors, and traps in one connected chain. That's exactly the integration most complete workout plans destroy by breaking it into 3 or 4 isolated machines instead. Leg curls, back extensions, seated rows, 3 separate exercises, 3 separate setups, 3 separate rest periods, trying to rebuild what one deadlift already does in one movement. If you're prioritizing the deadlift over that scattered combination, you're not cutting corners. You're keeping the one exercise that was never redundant in the first place and dropping the ones that always were. Exercise 1, done. 9 to go. And the next one is the movement most men over 50 quietly stopped doing years ago.
Exercise 2, squat. Second on the list, and second for a reason. The squat tests something the deadlift doesn't. Hip and knee mobility, the exact mobility most men lose silently after 50, one sedentary hour at a time. You sit for work, you sit in the car, you sit for dinner. Your hips forget how to open and your knees forget how to bend under load. The squat forces hip, knee, and ankle to work in sync, under weight, something a leg press or a leg extension machine simply can't replicate. Machines fix the path. Your joints don't get a say in the angle, the depth, or the stabilization required. A free squat gives your joints no such shortcut. Here's the part most men get backwards. If your knee hurts during a squat, you probably assume the squat is the problem. Usually, it's the opposite. The squat strengthens the exact stabilizer muscles that protect your knee during everything else you do. Stairs, getting up from a chair, walking downhill. Avoid the squat because your knee hurts, and you're avoiding the one exercise most likely to make that knee pain better.
Exercise 3, push-up. The push-up covers horizontal pushing, no equipment required, and it hits 4 things at once: chest, triceps, shoulders, and core stability, all in a single plank position under load. Separately, that's 4 machines: bench press for chest, triceps push down for arms, lateral raise for shoulders, a plank hold for core. 4 setups, 4 rest periods, 4 pieces of equipment you have to wait for at a crowded gym. One push-up replaces all 4, and it does it while your body has to stabilize itself the entire time, which none of those machines ever ask of you. That's the whole case for this list. Not more exercises, the right ones, chosen because nothing else does their job as efficiently. For a man training at home or training on a schedule with no room to waste, the push-up isn't optional. It's the difference between a 20-minute session and an hour you don't have. 3 down, 7 to go. The next one is the pull equivalent, and most men avoid it entirely. Want a strong and healthy body? Hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button.
Exercise 4, pull-up. The pull-up is the only exercise on this list that trains vertical pulling with your full body weight. Lats, biceps, forearms, all working together in what's called a closed kinetic chain. No pull-down machine replicates that completely. The machine fixes the bar's path for you. It removes the shoulder and core stabilization the pull-up demands because the seat and the pad are doing that work instead. That's not a small difference. That's the entire difference. A man who chooses the guided pull-down for comfort is trading real functional strength for something that feels easier in the moment. And that trade is precisely what this list of 10 exists to eliminate. You're not here for what feels easier. You're here for what actually holds up when your back is the only thing between you and the floor. Can't do one yet? That's not disqualifying. Start with dead hangs. Add negative reps. Use a band if you need one. But don't replace it. Build toward it. The next one is the one most men quietly stop doing the day they stopped playing sports.
Exercise 5. Overhead press. Most men over 50 haven't pressed anything over their head in years, not on purpose. They just stopped and never noticed. The overhead press is the most complete vertical push there is. It hits the deltoids, the triceps, and something almost nobody talks about, the entire core, which has to stay rigid to stabilize your spine while weight moves above your head. A seated shoulder press machine removes that requirement entirely. Your back is locked against a pad. Your core gets a free pass. Standing changes everything. Now your trunk has to fight to keep you upright while you're loaded overhead. And that fight is exactly what builds shoulder strength that transfers to real life. Reaching into a high cabinet, lifting a suitcase into an overhead bin, pushing a stuck window open. All of it lives in this pattern. Skip the standing press for the machine version, and you keep the shoulder strength, but lose the stability underneath it, the part that actually protects you when you're not in a gym.
Exercise 6. Lunges. Here's a question most men never ask themselves. Are your two legs actually equally strong? Not close. Actually equal. Every squat, every deadlift, every leg press trains both legs together, which means strength imbalance between your left and right side can hide in plain sight for years, masked by whichever leg happens to be doing more of the work. Lunges expose that immediately. One leg working alone, no side to lean on for help. After 50, that imbalance stops being cosmetic. It becomes one of the most common causes of falls and instability, a wobble on stairs, a stumble stepping off a curb, a loss of balance that seems to come from nowhere. It doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a weaker side that's been compensating silently for years until the day it can't anymore. Lunges aren't on this list for leg aesthetics. They're on this list as insurance, the kind you don't think about until the moment you need it. Exercise 7. Treadmill running. Everything so far has been about strength. This one isn't. Running is the only pure cardiovascular exercise on this entire list, and after 50, that category matters more than most men want to admit. Here's the number that should concern you more than any amount you can bench press: VO2 max, your body's capacity to take in and use oxygen under effort. In multiple studies, VO2 max predicts long-term functional longevity more strongly than muscular strength alone. Not instead of strength, more strongly than it on its own. You can be strong and still be cardiovascularly fragile, able to lift a heavy box but out of breath climbing 2 flights of stairs behind it. That's why running holds a permanent spot on this list, otherwise dominated by strength work. It's covering a function nothing else on this list touches. You don't need to run fast. You don't need to run far. Consistency matters more than pace, especially starting out. The next one is the one exercise on this list that looks the least like exercise and does more for your reflexes than anything you've done so far. Exercise 8. Shadow boxing. Nobody puts this on a workout for men over 50 list. That's exactly why it belongs here. Shadowboxing combines something none of the previous 7 exercises deliver on their own: rotational power, complex motor coordination, and interval-style cardio all at the same time. After 50, power, the ability to produce force quickly, not just the ability to produce maximum force, declines faster than raw strength does. You can still be strong and still lose the ability to react fast. Those are two different systems, and most training plans only address one of them. That rotational power is exactly what stops a stumble from becoming a fall. It's the split-second reflex that catches you when you trip on an uneven sidewalk or twist wrong reaching for something behind you. Nobody trains for that moment directly. Shadowboxing does, almost by accident. 3-minute rounds, fast hands, fast feet, full rotation through the hips and core. It looks like nothing. It trains something almost everything else on this list ignores.
Exercise 9, cable fly. 9 exercises in, and this is the only one on the list that's pure isolation. That's not an accident. Every compound movement so far, the push-up, the overhead press, trains chest and shoulders through a specific, limited range of motion. The cable fly reaches the range those compound lifts leave behind. Full stretch, full contraction, chest working through an arc no pressing movement fully covers. Left uncorrected, that gap becomes a real imbalance over years of compound-only training. Tight fibers, restricted range, a chest that's strong in one position and weak everywhere else. This is the one exercise on this list that exists purely to clean up what the others can't. Not because more isolation work is generally the answer. 9 out of 10 exercises here are compound, multi-joint movements on purpose. But no redundancy doesn't mean no isolation ever. It means every exercise earns its spot, and the cable fly earns its by covering ground nothing else on this list does. Exercise 10, standard crunch. Every exercise before this one built core stability indirectly. The squat, the deadlift, the overhead press, all of them recruit your core as a stabilizer without ever directly training it. The crunch does something none of them do. Controlled flexion, trunk movement, a specific movement none of the previous 9 touch directly. That matters more than it sounds like it should. Controlled flexion supports posture and lower back protection, working alongside the core strength you already built indirectly through squats and deadlifts. It's the only pure rectus abdominis isolation on this entire list, and it made the cut for the same reason the cable fly did. It's not redundant with anything else here. That's the whole logic behind this list, start to finish. Not more exercises, not variety for its own sake. 10 movements, each one covering ground the other 9 leave uncovered. What'd you think of this video? Drop your honest opinion in the comments. I actually read everything. Hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, click the subscribe button.